Welcome everyone to episode 53 of Let's Play Final Fantasy XIV, A Realm Reborn. Now, in the previous episode, Alphnaud, Sid, and I, or Kasmeer I should say, decided to return and take up residence at the Waking Sands and begin rebuilding the Scions because the three of us are just not enough to get things done. While we did take down Garuda, the Empire showed its hand and revealed a new terrifying weapon. And if you want to see what that weapon is, the Empire gives us a sneak peek in episode. I think it's episode 51, The Howling Eye. But previously, we had we had met up with Yida and Shtola, and the five of us had gone to her contact in Kurthus, the southern regions of Ishgard, and asked for intelligence on the Castrum where our friends are being held at. But they also told us of an airship that made an emergency landing, and two of our allies jumped off and made a run for it. And so we sprang into action, and we managed to save Wedge, one of the two engineers for Sid. And we've met them before. They were the airship crew that we rescued when we first joined our grand company. But now we are looking for the other engineer, who was called Biggs. And so we need to go back to Kurthus to Momentum Tower, which is in one of the most remote regions of Kurthus. But without further ado, let us continue the story, and I will see you at Momentum Tower. So we're at Camp Dragonhead in central Kurthus. Now, the one thing you want to make do is want to remember to drop by a mender every once in a while and just check your gear. And just go ahead and repair all gear, even if it's in the 90s or the 80s. It'll keep your gear up to snuff, and you won't have to worry about finding out what happens if your gear goes to zero. Anyway, we are continuing to the tower, and we'll see you there. Okay, so we are at Momentum Tower, and it is in the lower right-hand corner of the Kurthus zone. It's Kurthus Central Highlands, and with the exception of the Fury's Gaze, which is basically on top of that mountain there. This is probably one of the most remote places in the Kurthus as far as gameplay. So yeah, last time we left Wedge here, he was out in the cold and basically shivering to death. So he got himself some warm. He had got himself a warm cup of broth and a nice fire to sit by. So he's all warmed up. So let's continue here. Monumental Hopes. I'm fine now, thanks to you, but I can't bear to think that Biggs is still alone in the cold, with the Guardians on his heels. He lured the enemy away for my sake, and now he's suffering for it. I hate to have to rely on you again, Lightbringer, but do you think you can search for Biggs? I haven't the slightest notion where he might be at the moment, but maybe, just maybe, the people here have seen something. A Rodican gentleman dressed in the same manner as your companion. I'm sorry, but he did not come by here. Let me think for a moment. I would not raise your hopes unduly, but there is a cave situated a short distance to the south. We call it the Fury's Gaze, and it may be worth a while to investigate. I make this suggestion only because your friend seems like a selfless sort. Rather than drawing the enemy to this tower, mayhap he elected to pass us by. And we are going to the this is probably the second most remote. The tower here is probably the second most remote. Now we're going to the most remotes. But I think if you are doing the Dragoon quest line or class quests, they may take you here as well. I might be wrong. But anyway, here is the cave we spoke about. And we have a lot of glowy things here. Right-click on the ground and the character do the rest. Not who we wanted to. So if you ever get yourself overwhelmed, as we're using our AoE attacks, but unfortunately we got too many people riled up on us. So doing a strategic retreat like that is not a bad idea. Saves us from having to basically resurrect at our home point, which is Gridania, and then having to travel all the way back here. So let's do that again. Or did we? Okay, well, we already. Anyway, even though we didn't beat those monsters, we still satisfied the quest here. So we can go back to Wedge. Lightbringer, were you able to learn anything? Not in this area? Well, that stands to reason, I suppose, seeing as he was trying to lure the Guardians away from me, but where within this vast sea of snow could he be? Notorious Biggs. We can't give up, Lightbringer. We must find Biggs before he succumbs to the cold or is recaptured. There must be someone in this tower who can help us, even if it's only to tell us where to look. Ask them for me. Ask anyone who will listen, and hurry. Biggs' chances of survival grow slimmer by the moment. Okay, hard to see, but there's a little carrot by the carrot pointing up next to the quest icon. So we need to go up to the top of the tower here. And perhaps there's a lookout up there who can tell us. Okay, not these two. Your friend is lost in the wilderness, you say? If he's not to be found around here or in the vicinity of the Darkhold, it is possible he made for Whitebrim. To reach it, one must travel through Danavin Pass, to the southern end of which lies to the north and east of here. While I make no guarantee that your search will bear fruit, it is surely better than worrying in idleness. I wish you luck. Oh, and one more thing. Do tread warily when climbing the stairs here. Not a moon ago, I near broke my neck when I slipped and took a tumble. So if you want, you can go straight to the top of the tower and onto the roof, I believe. Yep. But we want to go just to the right of these red crags here. There's this path there's this trail you can barely see that goes to the cave in question. So yeah, there's that red kind of craggy area, and then there's a cave we're looking for. And then here is the trail that goes off to the side that we want. So tanks are good at taking damage, but they're not as good as dealing damage as DPS classes are. But DPS classes, in turn, they're not built to absorb damage like we are. But either way, there's Shtola and Yida. Then there's our friend here. And we're going into an instance, so make sure your gear is up to date, and let's go. Our orders are to take you back, dead or alive. Which will it be, engineer? Why don't you come and find out, Tinhead? Ah, Lightbringer. It is well that you are here. The situation is grave. Biggs is in a bad way. We need to do something right now. Yida has right of it. He will perish if we delay. With me. He's not alone. Kill them all. Okay, so here we're turning on our put our tank stance on, and we are keeping the Guardian's attention here. My thanks. Another moment and I would have... He's been too long in the cold. We must find shelter for him. Momentum tower, you say? Very well. You and I shall bear him there with all haste. Sid will be so happy to see Biggs and Wedge again. Oh, I love reunions. So that's the beauty of a tank and with a healer for backup. As we had our tank mode on, and we were using our AoE attacks, which immediately grabbed all the mobs' attentions, and they were on us. And as long as we kept using our cooldowns, the damage was not so much that Shtola could give us a helping hand. Shtola, as long as we kept our damage reductions up, Shtola was very easily capable of giving us a heal or two when we needed it. And thus, Yida and Shtola were free to do as they wished while everybody was focused on the tank, or Kasmeer here. But anyway, let's report back to Wedge. I cannot thank you enough, Lightbringer. And the same goes for the rest of you. Thank you all so much. Oh, don't mention it. We're a family, are we not? Well, yes, it's just I don't think I'd ever see him again. I owed a lot of you my life. And you saved Wedges too, Lightbringer. I'm losing count of how many I owe you. Biggs, Wedge, gods, it's good to see the two of you again. Chief, it's you. It's really you. In our hearts, we knew you were still alive, but to finally see you in the flesh. Well, Alphnaud told me of the raid on the Waking Sands. I feared the worst. What happened? The enemy struck with nary a warning. We didn't stand a chance. Wedge and I were in the workshop when they came. Before we knew what was happening, the Imperials had us at gunpoint. It must have been awful. There's one thing I don't understand, though. How did the Guardians get there so fast? I mean, the Immortal Flames would have seen them coming, right? I myself asked the same question. The day, when I returned to the carnage at the Waking Sands, I noted not a missing horizon. Nothing at all to suggest the passing of an Imperial force. From this, I conclude that the Guardians came neither by land nor by air. Nay, they were born there by potent teleportation magics. Magics of the kind used by the Ascians. Carry on. We were bound and blindfolded and bundled into the cargo bay of a waiting airship. I can't rightly say how long we were aboard, but when the time came for us to disembark, we found ourselves in the midst of an Imperial stronghold, Castrum Sentry. Upon arrival, we are marched off into the main complex. Wedge and I were thrown into a detainment cell together, while Menphilia and the others were taken elsewhere. That was the last we heard from them. Castrum Sentry. What happened next? Well, we were held in isolation for what felt like years, but was probably moons, or maybe only weeks. And then, without warning, the Imperials collected the pair of us and put us on another vessel, which we found out was bound for Garlemald, much to our dread. We knew that if we were taken back there, we weren't likely to leave again. So risky though it was, we sabotaged the ship's altitude control and thereby forced an emergency landing. And in the midst of the ensuing chaos, we managed to slip our captors. The rest, as they say, is history. Ha! If I'd known better, I'd call that a likely story. Sabotaging the altitude controls of an airborne vessel? That will have been Biggs' handiwork. Like as not, you always were resourceful in a tight spot, my friend. Lightbringer, thank you for returning my dear assistance to me. It would seem I owe you yet another debt of gratitude. There are still many questions in my mind, but the answers can wait. Ophelia and the others still want for rescue. Alright, you lot. Garland Ironworks is back into business. Let's go and give the Imperials what for. And we have time for one more. Come into my Castrum. Thanks to you, Biggs and Wedge are with us again. Now we must find a way to rescue Ophelia and the others. Gods know we've kept them waiting too long already. Based on what we've learned, I believe it's safe to say they're being held at Castrum Sentry. So let us convene at Revenant's Toll in Mordona. This is as good a place as any to prepare, and better than most. The road leading east, then south, will get you there. When we arrive, let us seek the advice of the local adventurers. We're bound to learn a thing or two. The thing or two that will benefit our mission. Okay, so we have Sid with his back with his two assistants, and now we get to go to another new zone for us. So we want to make for the Aurum Vale, but instead of going to the dungeon itself, we want to go to the left of there. And you can see it's highlighted there, or to the right actually. See, that there is the Aurum Vale. But we are going this way. Welcome to Revenant's Toll. This is a place that you want to get familiar with. As to why, I will not say, but you have a summoning bell for your retainers. Don't know if there's a market board here. There may be one. But the first thing you want to do is to attune to the crystal here and speak with the Choco Keep. now we can take the chocoporter here. Speak with the guard at the door. Well met, friend. What brings you to Revenant's Toll? Did I hear you rightly? Your friends are being held captive at Castrum Sentry, and you want to rescue them. I don't mean to discourage you, but that might prove difficult. The stronghold has been on high alert of late, with armored patrols seen about the perimeter around the clock. Not even a fly could get within 100 yards of the walls undetected. If the Garleans were alerted to our coming, we cannot know what they will do to infuriate the others. We must act with greatest stealth. Aye. It has to be good old-fashioned infiltration. But with security so tight, how are we going to smuggle ourselves in? Why, I don't mind to walk through the front door. Huh? The front door? Aye. We'll disguise ourselves as Imperial troops and march right in. For this, we'll need a few sets of Imperial uniforms and a suit of Magitech armor. And impeccable timing. Huh. That's a bold strategy, but it might just work. Where we are, there's certainly no shortage of opportunities to borrow the equipment. Knowing those Imperial bastards, they won't even suspect that we salvage Eorzeans would think to use their technology. Then it's settled. If you've determined to go ahead with this, I'd recommend you speak with Glamots. The fellow's got a personal grudge against the Empire and happens to know a deal about Castrum Sentry besides. I have no doubt he'd want to be of aid. Yida and I will go reconnoiter Garlean activity at the stronghold. It would not do if something were to befall our comrades before we get the chance to act. Come and join us when you're ready, Lightbringer. Let's do this. Sometimes I wonder, Yida, are there ever times when you are not enthused? I'm nothing if not enthused, Shtola, and you're beginning to remind me of Papalymo. Looking for Glamots, are you? Well, you found him, whoever you are. Eh? You're looking to get inside Castrum Sentry, and you need my help? Something tells me we're going to get along just fine. Okay, and that's going to do it for today's episode. We successfully rescued Biggs, and now we are in the midst of basically casing Castrum Sentry and getting the necessary equipment we need to infiltrate the Castrum and rescue the Scions. And from there, it is going to be a rather fast ride to the end of A Realm Reborn. Now, the one thing we will need to do off camera is grind both our classes to level 50. And there's a pair of dungeons that will come up that will require us to be, that one of them, if not both, will have to us to be at that level. So anyway, follow along as we continue with the rescue operation, where we go ahead and rescue our fellow Scions and start the counteroffensive against the Empire. But until then, thanks for watching. Thanks for watching, and take care.